All right, we're preparing to get ready on YouTube to go live on our YouTube channel. Are we there as yet? Yes, we are there. Live on YouTube. Want to say welcome to all our listeners or our viewers on YouTube. Hope we are able to bring out what we are aspiring to bring out today. You know, each week, the Most High is, I've seen that we're on a cycle. We might look at prophecy this week, and in the next week, we get a word of sanctification. So it seems the Most High wants us to know what is happening, but then he doesn't want us to take our feet off the brakes. Doesn't want us to ease up where it comes to sanctifying ourselves before him. All right, so today we are going to be looking at the end time destruction of America. It's a question, not a statement. And I will be here along with my co-host, Mahar Khoon Yasharal, who will be here with me today. All right, so the question is the end time destruction of America. Where is America in end time prophecy? A question that has often been asked, and many people seem to see America in end time prophecy, but the name America was not spoken or given, or any implication given as to an America. But how do you know who will be in end time prophecy? You look at what is prophesied and how and who matches the prophecies, because Bible history repeats itself. As it says in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9, these verses could begin every single one of our teachings, or especially our prophetic teachings. Go ahead, please.
The thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
All right. So the end times, what is happening in the end times, or what will be happening in the end times, is that which has already been done. There's nothing new under the sun. There's no new thing springing up. So that's how you know how to find America. You go and see what has happened before, and you see where America matches that which has happened. Verse 10.
New things, okay, verse 10, sorry. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had been already of old time, which was before us.
So anything that is happening in this end time, it is nothing that is new. It has already been done of old time. And this is why the Bible, the scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures has been given to us, because things keep repeating themselves. And so the scriptures capture that which was repeated and which shall be repeated. I hear people all the while speaking about, oh, that has already been fulfilled. Yes, it has already been fulfilled, but it will come again because there's no new thing under the sun. Some prophecies will fulfill over and over. Some will a couple times. That's just the way the Most High set it, so that we cannot program whatever is happening, so that only those to whom it is given to understand, only they will understand. That's why he does it like that. So today, we are going to be looking at Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt. The characteristics of these nations, and we will see that there are, to see how they match up with the United States, because these nations are prophesied to figure heavily in the end times. But there is no nation called Babylon again. There's no nation called Assyria again. And there's a nation called Egypt, once again, but Egypt is nowhere in the limelight of the chief nations of the earth. So we're going to see that the Bible, there are certain things about these nations that will manifest themselves in the end time. So we're going to place emphasis today because to do a study like this, it could take hours upon hours. So we have tried to condense it into our teaching today. Don't know if we will do a good job of keeping it together. So our main focus will be on Assyria because we focused heavily on Babylon on this channel. So we are going to be focusing more on the nation that is often ignored, and that is Assyria. And we're going to look at how the characteristics of Assyria and see how they match up with with Estados Unidos, the United States. All right. All right. So the first thing about Assyria is that Assyria was exalted above all nations. We're going to go to the book of Ezekiel 31, verses 2 to 6. Now, the Most High was speaking to Ezekiel and telling him about Egypt. But in telling him to speak to Egypt, he was actually telling Egypt about what happened to Assyria. Because Assyria was toppled by Babylon. And the Most High was telling Pharaoh and showing up the characteristics of Assyria. All right, verse 2.
Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness?
Okay, I've just remember that I didn't do the record. Let me record it. All right. So he was saying to Pharaoh, who are you like in your greatness? So the Most High now is going to show Pharaoh and said, look at the Assyrian, verse 3.
Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches and with a shadowing shrub and of an high stature, and its top was among the thick boughs.
Lots of figurative language there. Was a cedar in Lebanon. The importance of cedar is its long life, long roots, I think. It's characteristic. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, the roots of it. Tenacious roots. Hard to get rid of the cedar. And it says with fair branches, beautiful branches. And with a shadowing shroud. And of an high stature. So in other words, Assyria was a strong, firm nation that looked very attractive and had protection. And it was exalted, high stature, it was exalted above the nations. And his top was among the thick boughs. His top was among, was very strong. All right? So those are different characteristics of Assyria. Verse 4.
Okay. Verse 4.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, I'm not. Verse 4?
Yeah. I mean, go back to the regular King James.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Verse 4. The waters made him great. The deep set him up on high with her rivers running round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field.
All right, so this may seem to be alluding to waters, literally waters, but it is, the waters there refers to sustenance. His resources made him great. And the rivers running about his plants, which means it was prosperous. And the prosperity flowed throughout the entire land. Verse 5.
Therefore, his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters, when he shot forth.
So because of how resourceful, how he was how Assyria was provided for, he was exalted above all the trees of the field, above all the other nations. And his bows were multiplied, which means, as we know, they went conquering and they added to their kingdom. And they prospered because of the blessings that they received. Verse 6.
All the fowls of heaven made their nest in his boughs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under his shadow dwelt among great nations.
Dwelt all great nations. So everyone wanted to come to Assyria to partake in this wealth. Okay? And under his shadow dwelt all great nations. So all the great nations in this earth were under the shadow of great Assyria. Does it sound familiar to us today? It sounds like the United States of America. Under his shadow dwelt all great nations. Yeah, that's what America, they call America the world police. If you make America angry, then you're in problems. Sanctions and all sorts of things. All right? So all the nations dwelt, great nations dwelt under his shadow. All right? Just want to show that there's more to it. Can go and read the rest of the chapter, but just want to highlight that fact about Assyria. And interesting thing about Assyria, it's no longer a nation. Its people are scattered. We're going to look at that further. But let's look, who were the Assyrians? What were the Assyrians famous for? Read, please.
Assyria is mainly remembered for its military victories. Technological advancement, such as using iron for weapons and building roads, use of torture to inspire fear, and a written history of conquests. Its military had not only general troops, but charioteers, cavalry, bowmen, and lancers.
All right. So which army is the most powerful army in the world? No matter how you take it. Which army is the most powerful army in the world? United States. All right. Some people might dispute that some China is coming up on that, but they can't come close to the United States. That is what they are famous for. All right? Technological advancements. That's what they are also famous for. Yeah. Now, let's look at the beginning of Assyria. Genesis 10, 22. Sorry there, we just had a spill a while ago. Sorry about that. All right. Genesis 10, 22. Yeah.
The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lod, and Aram.
All right, so this is the origin of Ashur. He's a Shemite, son of Shem. Okay? But son of Shem, but he's not of Israel, because Israel came through this line, Arphaxad. That's one of the progenitors of the Israelites. And where are we now?
23.
8. Oh, 8 to 12. Same 10. 8 to 12. Read, please.
And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Continue.
He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahuwah.
All right, Nimrod set up the first Babylon. Yeah, verse 10.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar.
11.
Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah.
Continue.
And reason between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city.
All right. So, Babel, in the land of Shinar, Ashur went out of that land and built Nineveh, which became a great city. That is the beginning of Assyria, which comes from Ashur. So, ancient Assyria and Babylon, very significant when it comes to the United States, because we're going to see, let's leave it upside down. We're going to see that Assyria and Babylon were close, very, very close together, at times becoming one, which is the same thing with the United States, which is a combination of Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt, all three intertwined in one nation. So it's the same thing here. Ancient Assyria and Babylon were neighbors. So we have Assyria right here with the green, and in the purple, we have Babylon. So remember, Assur came out of Babylon and went north and established Nineveh, and the nation of Assyria grew up around it. All right, another thing about Assyria is that they bring their captives to their land. When they capture the people, they bring the people to their lands. 2 Kings 15:29. Not much is highlighted about this nation. 2 Kings 15:29. Go ahead, please.
29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Hayan and Abel-Beth-Maachah and Jonoah and Kadesh and Hazor and Gilead and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria.
Carry them captive. And Galilee, is the Galilee there? Galilee of the Gentiles. This is how Galilee became Galilee of the Gentiles. We're going to see that also. 2 Kings 16:7-9. So they took the people captive, bringing them to their place. Read, please.
So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me.
Ahaz was the king of Judah, all right? So we see how things had gotten bad, that Judah and Israel became enemies. So much so that Judah had to be seeking alliance with Syria in order to defend his own brother, the house of Israel. Verse 8.
And Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasuries of the king's house, and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria.
And
the king of Assyria hearkened unto him, for the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried the people of it captive to Kir, and slew Rezin.
all right, take the people captive, bring them in bondage. Same thing that the United States has done. Brought the people in slavery and hold them captive in their land and refuse to let them go. All right, so another similarity here between Assyria and the United States is that Assyria, when Assyria took the Israelites away from the land, they sent Gentiles into Israel. Does that sound familiar? The Jews, so-called Jews who are in there today, it is the United States and Britain who got them into the land, to take away the land that was the Palestinians, and to bring these Gentiles into Israel. And you say to the so-called Jewish that they are Gentiles, they say, you are anti-Semitic. Yeah? Can't be anti-Semitic when you are the true sons of Shem. We are the true sons of Shem. You are an imposter. 2 Kings 17. 2 Kings 17. We've looked at this before. Go ahead, please.
In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahuwah, but not as the king of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents.
All right. So Assyria came against Israel and defeated them. And he started to give, after having to give presents unto Assyria. Verse 4.
And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt, and brought no present of the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison.
All right, so king of Israel made an alliance with Egypt and decided that he wasn't going to do anything, give anything to Assyria anymore. But the king of Assyria came and put him in prison. Verse 5.
Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years.
So Assyria decided that this was it. Gonna destroy them. But of course, the Most High had prophesied long before that, prophesied that he would give Israel into the hand of the Assyrians. And this was it. Read, please.
In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes.
Of the Medes. So Israel carried away captives. Assyria, as usual, likes to empty out the place and take everybody to their land. Verse 7.
For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahuwah, their Elohim, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Allah cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahuwah, their Elohim, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchmen to the fenced city.
See this? They did secretly. This is why Shaul says a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahusha. Because they had an appearance of righteousness. They still kept the feast. They still did certain things. But secretly, they were not worshiping the Most High. So we can have an appearance of righteousness, and secretly in our hearts, we are not righteous. Yes? This explains what Shaul was speaking about. Verse 10.
And they set them up images and groves in every high hills and under every green tree. And there they burn incense in all the high places, and did the heathen whom Yahuwah carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke Yahuwah to anger.
So the same heathen that the Most High cleared out, the same ways of the heathen, Israel had now taken over all of these practices. Verse 12.
For they serve idols, whereof Yahuwah had said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet Yahuwah testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servant, the prophets.
All right, so the Most High there is diligently telling them to keep his commandments and his statutes. And of course, this fast forward to today, Christians would let you believe that all of a sudden the Most High now has forgotten all of this. Verse 14.
Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their neck, like to the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in Yahuwah their Elohim.
Verse 15.
And they rejected his statutes and his covenant, and that he made with their father, and his testimonies which he testified against them.
All right. They rejected his statutes and his covenants that he made with their fathers. So those of us now who are over here, and these are our fathers, and we reject his testimonies and his statutes. So all of a sudden the Most High is going to justify us for doing that. Yeah? No, this is forever. Deuteronomy 29:29 says the things that are revealed belong unto us. No, let me get it. I don't want to miss the words. Deuteronomy 29:29. I don't know where. Read, please. The secret things.
The secret things belong unto Yahuwah, our Elohim. But those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law.
You see that? So those of us who are descended from Jacob, yeah? The law that has been revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So when the Christian who is of the heritage of Jacob comes along now and says, and say that they no longer have to keep the law, they are begging for the lake of fire. All right, continue.
15, 16.
Yeah.
And they left all the commandments of Yahuwah, their Elohim, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served Baal.
So every single false worship, every single false worship, these people, our people followed, the Israelites, the house of Israel, the northern kingdom. Yeah? Verse 17.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantment, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah, to provoke him to anger.
Says if you don't keep the commandments, see, they left all the commandments. If you don't keep the commandments, you are going to be left exposed to worshiping false gods.
Yeah, and them folks, yeah.
You know, yesterday, as I speak about this, yesterday I was talking to a Rasta man, and he was, you know, telling me that he kept the Sabbath and all of that, but he refused to be brought under any form of obedience. What he told me was like he did what he thought was right in his sight. I asked him, what is his standard of righteousness? And he says, my life is righteousness. I don't need anyone to tell me what is righteousness. So I reached to the point now, when he talk about worship, I was talking about his imperial majesty. I said, I don't want to hear anything about any man, because we don't worship any man. Then before that, he said to me, he believes that we have to be balanced with the flesh, and the spirit have to be balanced. So I said to them, there can't be any balance. The spirit has to totally lead the flesh. The flesh is supposed to be a follower, not a leader. But we need sex, and we need this, and we need that. I say all of those, are okay. But if you do not let the spirit lead, then you're going to get in trouble. So little after that, he mentioned his imperial majesty. And so I said to him, I don't want to hear anything about any man. Don't worship any man. We worship a spirit. So he said, I don't deal with spirit. I said, okay, let me call it Ruach. I said the Most High is a Ruach. And we have to worship him in Ruach. So he said to me, but we have to, what did he say again? I don't want to get him wrong. But we have to worship something that we can see. Straight idolatry. I say, worship what you can see. I say, that is because you make provision for the flesh. If you never made provision for the flesh, you'd be in the Ruach. And then you will be able to worship the Most High in Ruach. But you cannot, because you're in the flesh. And that just gave me a lesson there yesterday. Right away, it was a bingo moment for me, light bulb moment. Long as you're in the flesh, you are going to desire idolatry. You're going to desire to, whatever you're worshiping, you have to want to see it, because that is of the flesh.
Yes, so basically people like those will be limited to what they can even know or understand. Because if you're in the flesh, you will only see and understand what is in the flesh.
All right. So in the discussion with him yesterday, there was so many things that was lacking. So I told him to seek truth. He said, no, he's not seeking any truth. He doesn't care about truth. I'm telling you. So it was really a lesson of how important it is to walk in the Ruach. Yeah? So right here now, these children of Israel, same thing. They left all the commandments, because he was telling me yesterday that in effect, that he didn't believe in any commandments. He just did what he thought was right. So left all the commandments, they're going to worship idol. And their idol is Haile Selassie I, the man that they worship as the Most High.
Scary.
Yeah. Verse 18.
Therefore, Yahuwah was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
So these people today who are saying the law is done away with and everything, they have no idea. He says he removed them out of his sight. You're no good to me if you're not keeping the commandments. That's what the Most High is saying. Verse 19.
Come out on the side.
Yeah. Verse 19.
Also, Judah kept not the commandment of Yahuwah their Allah, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made.
Read that again. Which they what?
They made.
You see?
Yeah. Which they made.
Same thing with the Rastaman yesterday. He made his own statutes, his own commandments. He did his own thing, what he felt like doing. Verse 20.
And Yahuwah rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers until he had cast them out of his sight.
You see that? All of that because they don't keep the commandments. And then these people want you to believe that you can not keep the commandments and now be okay. Verse 21.
For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Yahuwah and made them sin a great sin.
For those who don't understand, when he says rent Israel, you have to know when he's speaking about every single tribe and when he's speaking about the 10 tribes, the northern tribes, that is called the house of Israel. And the house of Israel was torn away from the house of David because the house of David, led by Rehoboam, after the entire 12 tribes split, the house of David through Rehoboam only had the 2 tribes left, Judah and Benjamin. And the northern 10 tribes under Jeroboam went into idolatry, straight into idolatry. So this Israel is talking about is the northern tribes that went into idolatry, not the entire 12 tribes. All right? Verse 22.
For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them, until Yahuwah removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophet. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
And from this exile, there is dispute as to what happened to the children of Israel. Children of Israel are all over this earth, and people don't know who they are. All right? So that is what you get for forgetting his commandments. So let's look now at this resettling, the same thing that the Americans and the British did with the land they call Israel. It's the same thing that Assyria did back then. So it's the same spirit. Verse 24.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Kuta, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
All right, so now you understand why the children of Israel did not have anything to do. The house of Judah at the time of the Messiah had nothing to do with the Samaritans, right? Because they were not Israelites. Although some of our people had gone and intermingled with them, but they knew that they were Gentiles. That's why when the Most High in John 4, when the woman spoke to the woman at the well, she was surprised because they just did not have anything to do with each other. The house of Judah knew that these Samaritans were strangers. They were Gentiles. All right, so they brought in the Gentiles as they have done today. 25.
And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there, that they feared not Yahuwah. Therefore, Yahuwah sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
Now, this is a very important and very powerful verse. When the Most High refers to Yasharal, Israel, he refers to a people and a land. Just as how his people are set apart, his land is set apart. And whomever comes on his land, whether it be Gentiles, they have to give honor to the owner of the land. You cannot go to a man's house and make the man miserable. The man is going to throw you out. All right? The Most High reveres the land. It reveres the land. It is his land that he gives to his people. Now, even if his people are not there, those who decide that they are going to dwell there have to follow his ways, or else he's going to make life miserable for them. Yeah? Very important. They went there, they did not fear Yahuwah, and he sent lions among them and slew some of them. Verse 26.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of allure of the land.
No, not the manner of the allure of the land. See, he is the allure not only of the nation themselves, but also of the land. And that is why this international God of everyone has to be Hasatan, who 2 Corinthians 4:4 refers to as the God of this world. Yeah? The different nations, each of the nations had a different demon that was in charge of them, of that nation. And of course, you know, the demons are worshipped as idols, as gods. So each nation has their own God. The allure of Yasharal is the allure of Yasharal and none else, as he says in Joel 2:27. So we have to understand that the land belongs to the Most High, and the land has to be revered. All right? Therefore,
26.
yeah.
Wherefore they spake the
All right, yeah. Do it again.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of allure of the land.
The allure of the land.
The allure of the land. Therefore he had sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them because they know not the manner of the allure of the land.
27.
Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom he brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the allure of the land.
All right. So I see similarities between this and the nation they call Israel today. The Gentiles, the Jewish who are in the land of Yasharal, mostly the descendants of the Ashkenazis. And they say those that they went there and saw were the Sephardite Jews. Look at verse 24. And from Sepharvaim, these are the Sepharvites. All right? That Sepharvaim is a place in Assyria. So the Sephardite, they call them, who are in the nation called Israel. These are not Israelites. They were sent by the Assyrians from 722 BC, thereabout, and settled in Israel. So they're not truly Israelites either. Neither are the Ashkenazis who call themselves the Jewish. All right? So the similarity is that the Ashkenazis, they converted to the religion of Judaism from the 8th century. So they learned the way of how to worship the Most High from their conversion. So had they not converted, then they could not have lived in the land. Okay? Verse 28.
Then one of the priests who they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how they should fear Yahuwah. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own and put them in the houses of the high places, which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
So in other words, they just serve Yahuwah to appease him, to make sure there is peace, to say, okay, this is how you fear the Allah of the land. So, okay, they just do that and fear him and continue worshiping their false gods.
Secretly,
yeah. Continue.
And the men of Babylon made Succoth Benoth, and the men of Kut made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima.
So you see, every area has their own gods. Every area has their own gods. 31.
And the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared Yahuwah and made unto themselves the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the house of the high places. They feared Yahuwah and served their own gods, after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence.
All right. They feared Allah and served their own gods. That is very important. But what for our purposes, it is a similarity of the conquerors emptying the place of those who they conquered, and then bringing in other nations to fill them in. And if we know anything also about the United States, is that it is a melting pot for many generations. They've opened their doors to Europeans. And there was a time when Europeans just kept pouring in. And that is why the United States is filled with so many different European descendants. All right. In when was it again? Late 1800s or early 1900s, there was an explosion of people coming across, especially Italians, Germans, etc. Many came. It's the same thing that happened here with the Assyrians. Whenever the Assyrians were at the height of their power, people just poured into that nation. Okay? All right. So, all right, Assyria takes away Israelites and sends Gentiles into Israel. Same thing that we just said a while ago. This map shows the trek of captivity. Notice we said that Assyria and Babylon were close together. Now, the Most High sent Israel. If you see the purple arrows there, this is the house of Israel in captivity in Assyria. And the green arrows was the house of Judah in Babylon. Now, the orange arrow is Assyria taking Gentiles to fill Israel. Yeah? So this is very, very similar to the United States. The United States, we're going to see as attributes of Assyria and Babylon in one country. This is almost like one country, side by side. And they are going to be holding the whole house of Israel, the children of Israel, in captivity in that land. And they sent Well, they didn't send them from their country. Well, yes, I think Jews, the Jewish came from the United States, England, Poland, Russia, and all of those places where they were scattered. Yeah. All right. So it was prophesied, because we just showed that they were side by side, right? Israel and Judah. It was prophesied that both Israel and Judah would be in end time Assyrian and Babylonian captivity. Jeremiah 50:33 tells us about Babylonian captivity. Jeremiah 50:33 tells us something very significant. Read, please.
Thus say Yahuwah Sabaoth, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
All right. Babylon and Assyria had them captive. They held them fast. And it says they were oppressed together. What does that mean? It means that Judah will not just be Judah alone. Judah and Israel will be oppressed together. The whole house of Israel will be oppressed together. That means they will be in a place where they will be in the same nation, just like they were side by side in Babylon and Assyria. It's the same thing that's going to happen. And that is what is happening in the United States of America. The house of Israel and the house of Judah are there oppressed together. And it says, all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. The Americans cannot let the so-called African Americans go. Their economy would collapse. We spoke about how much our people spend over there. We are such an integral part of the economy. If you took us out, there would be no America. So they will not let us go. Just as in the time of Egypt, Egypt knew that he needed the slave labor. Can't let them go. So let's look at Ezekiel 23, where she's going to tell us a little more. All right, this is very interesting. Read, please.
The word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughter of one mother.
All right, before I go any further, so there are no surprises, so we can understand. We are speaking here about the house of Judah and the house of Israel. Two women. These are the two women, all right? Continue.
And they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. They were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teeth of their virginity.
That is why the children of Israel went into slavery in Egypt. It's not just innocent slavery. It's because they followed the way of the Egyptians. So, you know how that goes. Verse 4.
And the names of them were Aholah, the elder, and Aholibah, her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names. Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem, Aholibah.
All right, so the capital of the house of Israel is Samaria, and the capital of Judah is Jerusalem. Continue.
And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrian, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captain and rulers of them, desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted. With all their idols she defiled herself.
So Israel went into idolatry with the gods of the Assyrians. Continue.
Neither left she her whoredom, neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt. For in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her.
Verse 9.
Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted. She discovered her nakedness. These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters and slew her with the sword, and she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her.
All right, so what happened to Judah now? That was Israel. What happened to Judah when they saw this? 11.
And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredom more than her sister in whoredoms. She doted upon the Assyrians, her neighbors, captains and rulers clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredom, for when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdle upon their loins, exceeding in dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of Babylonian of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And
so it was the Babylonians for the house of Israel. All right. Oh, the Babylonians and the Assyrians, yes. Continue.
17. And the Babylonian came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with her whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them.
Yeah, of course, this is figurative language. For those who don't understand, figurative language, the bed of love, which means the idols that the house of Judah followed in her, adulterous relationship with these idols. Verse 18.
So she discovered her whoredom and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister. Yet she multiplied her whoredom in calling to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she had played the harlot in the land of Egypt. For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus thou callest to remembrance the lewdness of thy youth in bruising thy teeth by the Egyptian for the paps of thy youth. Therefore, O Aholibah, thus say Yahuwah Alua, behold, I will raise up thy lovers against thee, from whom thy mind is alienated, and I will bring them against thee on every side.
So very important to know that the Most High is going to bring both the Babylonians and the Assyrians against his people, against both houses. Verse 23.
The Babylonian and all the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoah and Kao, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great masters and renowned, all of them riding upon horses.
All right. Continue.
And they shall come against thee with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with the assembly of people, which shall set against thee buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I will set judgment before them, and they shall judge thee according to their judgment.
See how much things Israel get for forsaking the commandments? 25.
And I will set my jealousy against thee, and they shall deal furiously with thee. They shall take away thy nose and thine ears, and thy remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take thy sons and thy daughters, and thy residue shall be devoured by the fire.
Okay. All right. Verse 28.
For thus saith Yahuwah Allah, behold, I will deliver thee into the hand of them, whom thou hatest, into the hand of them from whom my mind is alienated. And they shall deal with thee hatefully, and shall take away all thy labor, and shall leave thee naked and bare. And the nakedness of thy whoredoms shall be discovered, both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms.
All right, so this has been the experiences of our people in this new world. And we know that if you want an example of everything that is being said here, just look to the United States. They shall take away all thy labor and leave thee naked and bare. And so, being left naked and bare, we would have nothing and be nothing before these nations. So we said, the USA is Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt, but we're going to narrow down more now and show a particular thing that lets you know directly that the US is, some people might say, spiritual Assyria. This book called Nahum. Now, this book is hardly ever used by anyone, hardly ever quoted by anyone, because it speaks about Nineveh. And people might say, oh, this thing about Nineveh. Who is Nineveh? So I always wondered when I would be using this. Now is the time. This is speaking about Nineveh, the chief city of the Assyrians. Read from verse 1, please.
Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departed not.
All right. It's all full of lies and robbery. Let me tell you something. I'm bloody. The United States has all the characteristics of Assyria, all the characteristics of Babylon, all the characteristics of Egypt. So there are even people who are arguing that, saying that America will not be destroyed. It will not be destroyed. All right? It has all the characteristics of these nations. Verse 2.
The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpse. They stumble upon their corpse.
All right. So what we want to look at here, it is a judgment that is being spoken before it tells you why the judgment. So this is a judgment. The horsemen lifted up the bright sword and glittering spear. There's a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there's none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. And it's going to tell us why. Verse 4.
Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, that selleth nation through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcraft.
Hey, boy. We're going to show you the Assyria of today. See this destruction and this death because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. the mistress of witchcraft. I'm sure that America is a mistress of witchcraft. And the headquarters of their witchcraft is in Los Angeles, that place they call Hollywood. From that place, they sell the nations through her whoredoms and the families through her witchcrafts.
Yeah. Sacrificing the families.
It is through Hollywood that witchcraft is spread among the entire world. Through Hollywood. Where are we? Okay. Yeah. So, mistress of witchcraft based in Nineveh. Let me get this right page. Okay. All right. Got this from this website. America is a mistress of witchcraft. And is it there? Yeah. Where am I? Yeah. All right. No. The thing that I like about it, it detailed certain things about America and Hollywood to show that America is a mistress of witchcraft in the end times. It says horror movies in the box office for 2012 grossed over $400 million and sold over 50 million tickets. Yeah? Horror movies. The movie series Paranormal Activity, 4-part series, has made over $700 million. This is how the people export their witchcraft, their sorcery, and their divination throughout the entire world. We know they do their divinations. The primary, or the foremost and most famous way that divination is dispensed throughout the world is through the cartoon series called The Simpsons. Through that series, they predict things that happen years in advance. That is divination. And that is used to spread upon the whole entire world. Halloween has become $8 billion holiday business now. America, Halloween. All right. And all of these witchcraft, just remember, all of these witchcraft are legal.
Exactly.
Just think about it. And there's no other country in the world like this. None like this. As evil as the rest of Europe is, there's none like America. Astrology in the United States is a multi-billion-dollar business. CNN Cable News has reported that 300 Fortune 500 companies use astrologers. So the companies, in order to get their wealth, they use astrologers, witchcraft. The psychic industry is boasting a multi-billion dollars per year. Witchcraft again.
Yeah.
Wicca, or witchcraft, is the fastest growing religion in the USA. And is on track to be the third largest religion in the United States.
Religion.
Witchcraft. You see, America is a mistress of witchcraft. There are about 700,000 websites for Wiccans alone.
700,000.
And this website quotes sources, so it has proof. Illegal drugs, which of course is witchcraft, is sorcery. Illegal drugs, and we know that America is the headquarters for illegal drugs.
Yeah.
Illegal drugs sold in New York alone bring in an estimated $832 million per year. Drugs are a gateway that opens up people to the demonic spirit realm. The pharmaceutical drug business, legal drugs, is a $650 billion business per year in the United States alone. Of course, with the things that they're giving people, the potion that they're giving people to put in their bodies, out of the 4 major companies, United States is 3 out of 4.
And that's per year. It says 650 billion every year.
Yeah. So out of the 4 companies that give the potion, the P company, the M company, and the J with the J company are all American companies. Most of the psychopharmaceutical drugs can cause a person to commit suicide or commit a homicidal act. Again, even these legal psychopharmaceutical drugs can open up a person to the demonic spiritual realm in which demons can influence a person. The Greek word pharmakia means magic, sorcery, witchcraft. This is where we get the word pharmacy. Please note that all drugs given for the health purposes are not bad. All right. Of course, witchcraft occult has influenced television, law enforcement, CIA, and the FBI in this country. And of course, we know that witchcraft has heavily influenced the movie industry.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Potter books are used as curriculum in US schools by Scholastic. Harry Potter books promote witchcraft and indoctrinate children into witchcraft. Yeah? So you see, America, the, what you call it? The mistress of witchcraft. All right. The Oscars. This is Hollywood. What the Oscars have in common with Egypt. That place is an evil place, you know. That place where all of us are running to, United States. It's a really evil, evil, evil place. And the things that they make us partake of, because we watch the Oscars and we celebrate when we hear best actress or best actor and whatever, and we idolize them and yeah. Yeah. So let's look at a little of what it says. The term Oscar also dates back to the Egyptian god Osiris, who ruled over the underworld in the constellation Orion. According to the pyramid text, the pharaoh's soul would descend into Orion to be reborn as a star to live for an eternity. But there was a catch. The pharaoh's soul would have to transform into a spirit to reach Osiris. Once the spirit reached the Osiris, it was immortalized and remembered forever. Sounds familiar? Once you get the Academy Award, you are immortalized and remembered forever. Yeah, man. You never forget about you. Clark Gable, they still talk about Clark Gable for how many years. I find it a fascinating parallel that a person has to become an actor, transforming your spirit into another to win an Oscar. So you have to become a liar to win an Oscar. These stars, that's why they call them stars, are then immortalized by placing their names in a shun star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Yeah? All right. Just like the Pharaoh was worshipped as a god who became a star, our modern culture has adopted the same practice by worshiping those who become stars. And this, of course, is done no other place as effectively as it's done in Hollywood. Hollywood is the heart of Nineveh. Los Angeles is Nineveh. Los Angeles is the heart of Assyria. All right? Let me get this thing here. The actors and actresses, many of them are witches. Many of those that we idolize, they are witches. 25 years of list of 25 celebrities who practice witchcraft. Lana Del Rey, I don't even know her. I don't know these people anymore because I don't watch movies. Sully Erna, I have no idea who that is. Gabriel Anwar. People who watch these movies will know them. Let me see if I can do this faster. Princess Nokia. I have no idea who she is. Ariana Grande, I've heard this name before. Adele, I've heard this name before. Katy Perry. Naomi Campbell, I think she is of Jamaican heritage, right? Sybil Shepherd. Remember this actress, Sybil Shepherd. Rachel True. First I'm hearing this one. Farouisa Balk. I know that one. Who is that? Elvis. Elvis. These are people we idolize. Yeah?
Elvis Presley.
Azalea Banks. Azalea Banks. Spencer Pratt. Giselle Bunchen. Jill Janos. Well, this one knows it all saying. Look at this devil. Look at her. You don't have to advertise it, Jill. Heather Graham. I've heard that name before. Sam Smith. Well, look at that. Girl Sam. Lord. Well, with a name like that. Bjork. I've heard about Bjork before. Grimes. Well, look at these people say that something is wrong. Evan Rachel Wood. Just looking at each one of them, they tell you about them. Evan is no stranger to the practice of witchcraft. Though there isn't a lot of information about her practice as a witch, she is quoted as saying, "Sage and the gemstone tiger eyes, I use them to clean demons out of places. Patrick Swayze. Dirty Dancing. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Yeah. Yes. Hold on. Look at this. Good old Sammy Davis Jr. All right, so these are those people. Yeah. I need to get this now. The sound not coming through. I'm going to have to do this again. Remember what you did again? What did we do again? To get this sound coming through. Oh, I think, let me see if I can do it.
While you are figuring that out, I just want to let everyone who still might be watching and idolizing these people, they are witches. So you need to stop wasting your time. Don't even call their name. These people are witches. So all they have to give is witchcraft, workers of iniquity. So children, if you are watching any of these people, make that day or night be the last. Do not watch them or listen to them anymore. They are of the devil.
All right, so this girl on the right here, she is a former witch, and she's going to describe what's happening, I guess, when it comes to Hollywood and witchcraft, and how witchcraft is growing fast and quickly in America.
But Jenny, it's so troubling to see that witchcraft and the occult is really on the rise. I mean, we're seeing it in stores. We're seeing clothing promoting, hey, I'm a good witch, or I'm a bad witch, Right. We're seeing even witches having workshops and retreats and all these things. Why do you think this has become so much more mainstream, so much more acceptable?
I think media has done a good job of pushing something to the point where it is now normalized, when back in the day, something like that for you and I, it would be shocking to see. And now, because we have shows as early as, daycare age, promoting witchcraft and sorcery, and it's okay, boys and girls, say these spell words with us. And it's so ABC preschool witchcraft that it gets into the hearts and the minds of people, including the people in church, and people who are not really connected with the Lord and don't understand. They're easily deceived. And the Bible talks about even the very elect will be deceived. And so people are going to a whole nother source. That's what they're wanting. They want a healing crystal because they don't understand. They recreated that movie, The Craft, in 2020.
Really?
They recreated the movie and they invited real witches on the set. And they had the witches, before they would do a scene, to cast spells and then to invite the actresses to come into this circle with them while they were releasing spell words over the viewers and over the scene. And they broadcast it and wrote articles like, isn't this amazing? We're getting real and raw with these real witches. And people are playing it in their home, and it's entertainment. And, Charlene, I always say the first part of entertainment is enter. So be careful what's entering your home.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have that in my home, but it is definitely a shock factor that our generation is really gravitating towards.
That is so shocking. I didn't know that. We were certainly going to make sure that people are aware of that.
I'm having conversations with Christians who are doing these things. Wow. Dabbling in things that the origins of the event, like the event that we have coming up this weekend, Halloween, dabbling in these origins, where the origins, when you go back, you can't separate that it was steeped and done in witchcraft and the demonic realm. And so I would just caution people, just be mindful of what's coming into your home through movies, music, entertainment. I went to the store that's a very popular store, and I even hate to say their name, but it was Marshall's. Marshall's. And I was just blown away that Marshall's had actual witchcraft. Oh, you can come in here and you can do a spell, and then you can get this sage, and you can get these healing. It was like a whole kit. And they're selling it like it's a holiday kit that you would buy someone. And so it's really starting to be very mainstream. And I just feel like the church needs to be aware that we need to stay away from all things. The Bible says to stay away from those things of darkness, but rather expose them, not to partake in them.
Okay. Let me get this thing off.
Yeah, while Brother C is getting that off, I overheard her say something about, is it Marshall or something? Something about gift. So we see again, it is even in scripture, don't accept any gift from them folks. You don't know what is in this gift. Do not accept any gift from them folks. You just never know. And we just hear, how dangerous things are, because she said, basically, thanks to the media, who now is bringing these things out to light. Once upon a time, these things would not be heard of, but they're giving thanks to the media who help to bring out all these wickedness, making that which the Most High deem lawless. They're saying it is no lawful to do all these things and to take part in all these things. What the Most High call corrupt, the world system, is saying it is okay, do it. So let's do our homework and not fall in this trap from these wicked witchcraft workers, even very close to us today.
All right. So the whole point being, LA is the modern day Nineveh. It's the modern day headquarters of witchcraft for the entire world. And in this article, it tells us about Los Angeles, which has a history with the occult, unlike any other U.S. city. So we're talking about U.S. being the headquarters of this wickedness, but L.A. is the headquarters within the United States. And it gives us a few headlines and about different people who, different things that happen in Los Angeles in regards to witchcraft. It says L. Ron Hubbard tried summoning deities with a rocket scientist before founding the biggest LA cult of them all, which is Scientology. And we knew Scientology, we had, who was it? Tom Cruise, I think, was partaking in that thing. All right, another one. Rocket scientist Jack Parsons used his mansion as a hub for occult practice, inviting esoteric orders, witches, and L. Ron Hubbard to take up residence. Charles Manson, LA again, used bizarre occult teachings to turn the hippie dream of a new world into a murder spree. I mean, I think he killed and ate people, something like that. Los Angeles again, UCLA anthropologist Carlos Castaneda started the New Wave movement, New Wave movement, after experimenting with psychedelics at the behest of a shaman he met at a bus stop. This is why you don't dabble in religions, you see? Religions all come from man through the demons. Former stuntman Father Yard took 14 wives, started a psychedelic egalitarian commune in the Hollywood Hills, and ran a very successful health food restaurant. The reason witchcraft is so successful there is because of the spirits that are there. Yeah? Experimental filmmaker and Los Angeles native Kenneth Anger explored the occult on celluloid and in life, working closely with witches such as Margie Cameron. LA is the headquarters of witchcraft in America. A Russo-German mystic from Tehran arrived in Los Angeles in 1916 to spread the teachings of an ancient Zoroastrian prophet. When Oh, yes. When David Bowie moved to Los Angeles, he entered an intentionally induced cocaine psychosis while dabbling in witchcraft and black magic. Headquarters, man, Los Angeles. A pre-hippie, pseudo-communist free love cult flourished in a tent city called Mount Helios in Glassell Park during the early 1920s. Helios or Helios, of course, corresponds to the sun. And if you know, this head thing here comes from Egypt, the horn thing with the ball in the middle, and the cross in the middle, all from Mitzrayim, Egypt. Pasadena's Devil's Gate has a muddled history of supposed evil and occult activity. The curse of Griffith Park began in the 1860s when a nefarious politician tricked a dying man into ceding his land to him. And of course, the article went on and tells you all about what happened during the curses of people dying, etc. But all in all, America is Assyria. In the end, it's end time Assyria. And it is the mistress of witchcraft. So let's go back to Nahum. Nahum, and let us see again what is coming. Where is it? Let me get it. Oh, here. Read verse 3 to 4, please.
The horseman lifted up both the bright swords and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there's none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft.
Now, does this sound as if America is going to escape beating for this? Okay. I just want to make sure. So we know that America is Assyria. Well, what about Babylon? Much has been said about America. And if you go to YouTube and put Babylon America, you see a long list of different things about America and Babylon. Revelation Simplified, America, Land of Babylon. And there is no end of things about America. and Babylon and America falling in the end times as Babylon. Well, let's just look at a couple. What is that now? Let me look at the next one. Where is it? Is it this one? This one fits? Let me see if it fits. All right. All right, America and Babylon. Did you know that the Statue of Liberty came through Freemasonry? Did you know? All right, this is a Freemason site. Northern Masonic jurisdiction, Scottish Rite. So we're hearing from the horse's mouth. These are the Masons that are telling you what is happening. It's not me telling you about what the Masons say. It is the Mason speaking directly, written on September 2, 2020. The Statue of Liberty, you can see it clearly? You can see it clearly on yours? All right, the Statue of Liberty, let me get it. You need glasses, man. Most like you're a young boy. The Statue of Liberty is an American landmark visited by approximately 3.5 million people every year and is recognized internationally as a symbol of American ideals. But what is the story behind Lady Liberty and her Masonic legacy? Many of us had learned an abbreviated tale of the 205 feet tall copper statue in primary school. France had gifted the Statue of Liberty to the United States as a gift to commemorate their successful alliance during the American Revolution, and the larger-than-life figure was placed by Ellis Island in New York to welcome newcomers to the land of freedom. What they failed to teach in school, however, is the Statue of Liberty's Masonic origin and ties to Freemasonry. In fact, the Colossus in New York's harbor was conceived, financed, built, and installed by Freemasons. Everything with America is evil, you know. America was founded by Freemasons. Yeah, in 1776, and Washington, D.C. is laid out with Masonic symbols. Straight Masonry. Let me just read. And in this article, it tells you about those Americans who were famous Americans who were Freemasons. All right. I just want to read this part. All right. When Lady Liberty arrived in the United States, there was debate about what should be included in the cornerstone. The first stone set that all other stones will be set in reference to of the foundation of the monument. It had been an American tradition to have the cornerstone of major public and private buildings and monuments ceremoniously placed with symbolic meaning ever since Brother George Washington, and he says brother, you know, he's a Freemason, in 1793 had personally laid the cornerstone of the Capitol with the assistance of the Grand Lodge of Maryland. As such, Chairman William M. Evarts of the American Committee contacted the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of New York and requested a Masonic ceremony appropriate to the occasion. The items chosen for the cornerstone of the Statue of Liberty, which were placed in a time capsule below the cornerstone, included a copy of the United States Constitution, George Mason's farewell address, 20 bronze medals of presidents up through Chester A. Arthur. George Washington, sorry. Including Washington, no, all of these presidents were Freemasons, including Washington, Monroe, Jackson, Polk, Buchanan, Johnson, and Garfield, who were all Freemasons. Yeah? So, today the Statue of Liberty still stands tall in New York Harbor as an international symbol of democracy. The close ties between the Statue of Liberty and Freemasonry may come as a surprise to many due to the secretive nature of Freemasonry in America's early history. Masons at this time took great pride in ensuring that their order stayed private and was not known to the outside world. Masons who were in the public eye, like George Washington and Ben Franklin, did not openly share their Masonic association. However, Freemasons are now encouraged to publicly embrace their affiliations, and it is important to understand and know the quiet history of Freemasonry and all that Masons have done to build the foundation of America. Yeah. So here it is. Just like how witchcraft now is coming in the mainstream, Freemasonry is now in the mainstream. You see how Satan has become brazen? Everything is public. Yeah? This is the United States for you. This is Babylon. All right. So, Babylon the Great. Revelation 13:1. You can see that?
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy.
So we see America is one of the 7 horns of the beast. Now, you are one of the 7 horns of the beast, which means you represent Satan on this earth. Do you think you are not going to get a spanking? Huh? And again, America is the headquarters of the United Nations. Now, when Babylon was together and kicking, what do we think happened in Babylon? All the nations of the earth were united together. The United Nations is another attempt at Babel. It's another attempt to unite the nations together, which is why now you have the New World Order comprising every single country, and the New World Order is run through the United Nations Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030, whatever they want to call it. Yes? The entire nation of the world, this attempt, this Babel, this new Babel, is headquartered in the United States. Do you think it is any coincidence? Because the United Nations, as we have always said, is the fulfillment of Psalm 83. Read, please.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they hate thee.
They that
hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
This place that you see here called United Nations, this is where they are confederate against the Most High. This is where they come together to take crafty counsel against the true Israelites, to consult against the hidden ones of the Most High. This is the place where they come and they consult against the Most High and his people. Yeah? All right. So Babylon, America, in the Bible. Let's just give us a verse, or a few verses. Revelation 18:2-4. Because, as we have always said here, Babylon is a commercial, political, and religious system. So what pertains to the religious aspect, it says, come out of her, my people. It's the same thing that pertains to the political and commercial arm of Babylon. So read verse 2, please.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every false spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Mm-hmm.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
All right, there's no other nation that this relates to better than the United States. All nations, United States is the core of the wealth of all nations. As a matter of fact, the international currency is the US dollar. That is what most of the world bases their wealth off. All nations have become drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So all the evil that she has done, the nations are benefiting and getting rich off the United States. All right? Verse 4.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that he be not partakers of her sins.
That's why we have been telling people, flee from the midst of Babylon. Yeah, those people are still holding up themselves in the United States. You're taking risks with your life. Yes? Because when the thing hits the fan, you're not going to be able to control it. Yes? It has not yet hit the fan, but when it does, you are going to be in so much, so much remorse. You're going to be looking and say, oh, why didn't I? Why didn't I? Why didn't I? That place is nowhere to be. It is Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt in one. So when these people say that they are going to start their fourth industrial revolution, which we know means destroying the current economy, when they do that in a place like Babylon, Assyria, Egypt, America, when they do that there, and there is so much payback that America is to get, it says, if you are there, you are going to be partakers of her sins. And remember, the word says, if any man worship the beast, because the reason people usually stay in the United States is because of the lifestyle, the way of life. They cannot fathom not living in the comforts that a life in the United States provides compared to, say, a life in a country like Jamaica. They cannot fathom it, right? But what does the Bible consider? The Bible considers that as you worshiping the beast. All right?
Question, bro. In Revelation 18, 4, does come out of her, my people, is a commandment?
It's a command, yeah.
The command, yeah, a command.
He didn't say, could you please come out of her, my
Right.
people?
And this morning, you're finished?
No, yeah, go ahead.
This morning in our prayers, someone here, they said that they knew that they would not take that mark, you know? So I said to the person that there is nothing within you could do that. It is when you obey the Most High, then things happen. So if the command is to come out of her, or the command is to leave this place alone, it is when you obey the Most High, you're going to realize that, yes, indeed, you will not be partakers of all these things. So it is very, very, very important when we obey the Most High. Obedience is the key. That's it.
Yeah. So we're talking about Babylon, America. There's so many things about America is so corrupt. What is there good about that place when you really look at it? Because even the money on which the world, money funny. Even the money in God we trust, that is on the dollar bill. That God is not the Most High. We grew up in our ignorance thinking that God was the Most High. And we said, America is a God-fearing country. They are, as we used to say, blessed. Yeah? America is blessed because they honor G-O-D. No, it's not the Most High. G-O-D is fortune. Isaiah 65:11 tells you about G-O-D. It is a Babylonian deity of fortune or luck or chance. So it says, no wonder our money has the phrase in G-O-D, we trust. Yes? And notice on the coin, you can barely see it here. It says something about liberty. The Statue of Liberty is actually Libertad. It is actually a goddess called Libertad, which is why they love to use the word liberty. I'm sure in the Bible you have the word liberty as well. So many we're speaking the other day of how many of the words are corrupted. And we are serving notice that we will be stopped using many, many words. Because I was saying earlier this week that the reason we use them is because we were targeting people who were like coming out of false religion, etc. So we use the terms that they would be used to. But now it's about time we stop using all of these words that really are evil words. All right? So we just talk about America being Assyria and Babylon, because this Babylon thing, America being Babylon, we could go on and on. We're just doing a summary, okay? This is by no means exhaustive. Just giving a summary of a couple ways to show you that the nation is to get a spanking, no doubt. All right? So, America is also modern Egypt. Where are we? Let me see if I can find this. All right. America is also Egypt. So can you imagine? Can you imagine the three nations? I think is that the three nations. One of the top three nations. One of the top 5 nations that the Bible speaks about is embodied in the United States of America. Can you believe that? So America is also Egypt. We're going to look at the proof that America is also Egypt. So the question about America being the end time, about end time destruction of America, by this we must know and be able to prove that Estados Unidos are going to get a whipping from the Most High. All right, this is an article. I think it's Truth Unveiled. Are there really distinct similarities between America and Egypt? Here's proof that there are so many similarities you may have never known. All right, so right there, that is a map of Mitzrayim or Egypt. All right. When you first look at modern Egypt today, what do you see? What sticks out? Of course, the river, the Nile River. Here it is. Yeah. Also known as the cradle of civilization. Notice how the Nile flows through the entire country with about 30% of land to the east of the river and 70% to the west. Where else have I seen that? The Mississippi. Known to America as the cradle of civilization, note how about 30% of American land lies east of the river with the other 70% west. Hey, oh boy, what a coincidence. Also note how the Mississippi pretty much divides the entire nation, just as the Nile divides the entire nation of Mitzrayim. But that's not all. Notice a city in Egypt that lies on the Nile called Memphis. Where have I heard that before? Also note the Joseph-stepped pyramid of Saqqara and the pyramids of Giza, which aren't too far from Memphis, Egypt. What other city happens to sit on a river. Oh yeah, Memphis, Tennessee, the Memphis of America. And is there a pyramid like Memphis in Memphis, Tennessee, just as there is in Memphis, Egypt? Of course, a pyramid with a statue of Ramesses the Great right in front. Wow. And this pyramid just so happens to lie on the Mississippi, just as the pyramids of Giza lie on the Nile. No coincidence at all, but there's still more. Where else do you see the Sphinx and the pyramid together like this in America? Right here in Las Vegas, Nevada, with a phallic obelisk right next to them. Whoa, no coincidence there. But is that all? No, there's more. As we can see in this authentic Egyptian hieroglyphic, and according to the story of the Exodus, the Hebrews, also known as the children of Israel, sojourned in Egypt for 430 years and were enslaved there for 400 years. This is not correct. They were not enslaved for 400 years. Anyway, the word of Yah tells us in Deuteronomy 28 that the children of Israel would be brought again to Egypt in ships and would be enslaved there for 400 years. Was America ever under the period of enslavement? Yes, it was, with slaves brought on ships. When did slavery begin in America? In 1619. Add another 400 years to that, and that brings us to 2019. So 400 years is up, which is why you see this coronavirus and mark of the beast and everything coming in. We are at the end of the age and end of the times in which the Most High also promised that that nation that shall afflict them will I punish. So the end time destruction of America, more punishment again. So we see the punishment of Assyria, the punishment of Babylon, and the punishment of Egypt is upon America. How can they escape? If they escape one, which is impossible, they can't escape two or the third. As you can see, America is modern day Egypt, heavily embedded with Sunday worship, periods of slavery, pyramids, sphinxes, and other phallic abominable symbols and obelisks, most notably church steeples and skyscrapers. And it's no wonder that America is a Christian country and America has so many churches there, all a part of the abomination. Also, the symbol of the Egyptian flag, an eagle, or as I like to call it, a phoenix. The same symbol for America, the bald eagle, a phoenix in disguise. There are no coincidences, there are no surprises. Nothing is new under the sun, as we started our teaching with. America is modern day Egypt, spiritually and literally. 2019 will mark 400 years since the beginning of American slavery, which began in 1619. And just as we saw with the first Egypt, what happened to that Egypt during the period of Moses and the children of Yasharal? The 10 plagues just before the Exodus. The 10 plagues will surely come again to America, modern Egypt. A second Exodus is about to take place, and I'll stop it there. All right? You got it? All right. All right. America is Egypt. This total solar eclipse, August 21st, 2019, the first eclipse occurred. In 2024, on April 8th, there will be another eclipse. And they are going to intersect. And the name of the place that they are going to intersect is called Little Egypt, which is a reminder of the Most High that once again, just as I brought my children out of Egypt, once again, as it says in the book of Ezekiel 20, that he's going to bring his people again out of Egypt. And when you see it intersecting, the odds of it intersecting is very, very low. It says it would take you probably hundreds of years for you to have a solar eclipse at the same place. To intersect at the same place. But this within 7 years, and 7 we know is the number of the Most High's perfection. Within 7 years. All right. So this August, April 8th, 2024. Those who look at biblical numerology will know the number 8 is the number of new beginning. Yeah? April, the 4th month, is the number of new creation. 2024, 4 plus 2 plus equals 6 plus 2 equal what? New beginning. After this eclipse, something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. This date is very significant. Let's look out for it and let's see what will happen after. Remember when the 2019, when the 400 years was up and people were watching and saying, hey, something is going to happen. Guess what? Something happened, but we didn't even notice it. The coronavirus thing. Yeah, people are looking for something. The coronavirus thing came in. And people didn't even realize that this was the Most High making his move, dividing the world according to their desire for vanity. Those who are vain are going to worship the beast or take the mark of the beast. Those who love the Most High with their hearts, mind, and soul will even give up their life to escape it. This is the end time. This is the remnant of the Most High being realized in this time. So we don't know what the Most High will do after 2024, because we know after the mark of the beast, we know that it is prophesied in Revelation 16 that a whole lot of madness is going to be coming on the earth. So we don't know what's going to be happening, but this rare eclipse intersects over Little Egypt in 2024. Someone wrote this and I thought it interesting. Why does the Carbondale area, referred to as Little Egypt, get such a celestial jackpot? Not only will the USA experience a total solar eclipse on August 21st, 2017, so this was written before the first one, but another will sweep through 7 years later on April 8th, 2024. Carbondale is close to the point of greatest duration, and at 13:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time, totality will last for 2 minutes and 38 seconds. In 2024, it's over 4 minutes, but the chances of having a clear view of totality is much greater in 2017 since the 2024 event occurs during a typically cloudy part of the year. The 2017 and 2024 eclipses are very different paths, but they intersect near the Illinois, Missouri, and Kentucky state border. The exact place where the 2017 and 2024 lines of totality cross is Cedar Lake in Jackson County, just south of Carbondale. So if you put yourself near the water, even in a boat on it, or even on a boat on it, for totality in 2017, you could return there in 7 years for a repeat, which is, of course, very, very near. So we had already established that Assyria and Babylon were together, side by side, right? So we also now have to establish that Assyria and Egypt were together, side by side. So there's nothing new under the sun. America is Egypt, America is Assyria, America is Babylon, all of them side by side. We're looking at the precedents for all of them being side on side in scripture. All right, Isaiah 52:4, Assyria and Egypt together. Because they were also neighbors. Isaiah 52:4, well, close, not neighbors, but close. Isaiah 52:4. Read, please.
For thus say Yahuwah Allah, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause.
You see that? They went into Egypt, and it was the Assyrians who were oppressing them. All right? That means And many people take this to mean, I couldn't say that mean, many people take this to mean that when it says in the scripture that there came a Pharaoh who knew not the children of Israel. Remember when they started getting afflicted? Many people take this to mean that it was an Assyrian Pharaoh who came in charge. So that was why the children of Israel were oppressed. And that is why it says the Assyrian oppressed them without a cause. So Egypt and Assyria together. Hosea 7:11-16. So we want to establish that they're going to be always all together. So when it says America is Babylon, Assyria, and Egypt, it is nothing that we have contrived, but that it is written, that has happened before, and we also said will happen again. Hosea 7:11.
Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria.
You see that? They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria. So the two nations, everything is there intertwined together. Verse 12.
When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation had heard.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. A lot of us people today, putting this in modern times, a lot of us look to go to the United States for rescue. We grew up struggling in America, and we go there to ensure that economically we get better. Yeah? Do we think that the Most High is pleased with it? He says, when they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation hath heard. Let me tell you something again. When we see we go there and our lot becomes better, we become better financially in the United States. What do we think that makes happen to us? Most people, materialism becomes their God. That is why America is the heart of the prosperity gospel. Because when you go to a country chasing money, you don't have time, as we were talking about in our fellowship the other morning. You don't have time to lean on the Most High. So most people are going to follow a doctrine of money, and so are going to end up being destroyed. And we see this happening today. Most of the people who have migrated to the US, they have refused to flee from the midst of Babylon. They have refused to take the command that says, flee to your own country. Every man to his own country. Leave Babylon and flee to your own country. They hold fast in that place. So we going there, we see ourselves better financially, but we don't know that spiritual and in the end, it's destroying us. Yeah?
Definitely. Because since we are supposed to be the poor and afflicted nation, right? Our people. 99.9% of us who migrate to America or England and all those things, it is for the sole purpose of not wanting to be poor and afflicted. So we are trying to run away from that which is supposed to happen. And therefore, we don't seek Yahuwah the way or we ought to, because we try to jump over the reason why we should seek him, being poor and afflicted.
And then you have had the experience. And when you go to America, money becomes your religion.
That's it.
You just seek money. It's just money, money, money. Because the system demands you to seek it. And if you don't seek it, you're going to fail. Go ahead.
And there are so many clues for that. Mm-hmm. In Jamaica, most people, again, let me say 99.9%, do one job. Mm-hmm. One job and they're okay. Mm-hmm. They go to America, 2-3 jobs, mm-hmm. sometimes 4. Mm-hmm. Because there is no end to their chastening. Mm-hmm. They always want more, more, more. And the system is designed in a way that you cannot make it and one job, especially if you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we see everything is now adding up.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to be poor and afflicted because they don't want to seek Yahuwah. That's it, you see?
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to do it for their own,
Mm-hmm.
do things on their own. But we are seeing today, it is just not happening. So that is why when the scripture says, flee to your country, every man go back to their country. Some people, they still don't make it in America after trying for 25 years, 30 years, and they still cannot make it. And guess what? They believe only one more month and I will hit the Powerball. That month will not come. That Powerball will not be hit. It is time to wake up, family. The scripture, it is really coming out. Go ahead.
And the system, that's so that you cannot relax in the system. You have to work 2 jobs. You have to pay your rent. If you don't pay your rent, you're out. All right. You reach to the point now where you can take out a mortgage. You pay your mortgage. You don't pay your mortgage, you're out on the street. They're fully with credit cards. Bam, credit card bills put you in a trap. You cannot escape. Your entire life is based on money and this money system and chasing and trying to find this. You don't have any time for the Most High.
Again, everything is just now coming back to me. Some people in their own land, they are someone, they are somebody. Mm-hmm. And to leave to go to that country, America, they settle for being a nobody. Big police officer, inspector, superintendent maybe, go to America, they will settle for a bartender job. Mm-hmm. You understand? And they will do whatever it takes just to be in that country. And we are seeing again, every man to their own land. Yeah. But I mean, it is just so crazy because what I've seen coming up right here now is many of us were just trying to escape that which is to come. And again, see, we are here, sometimes we have things going on, okay, because the scripture says we need food and raiment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we just drive by the crossroad, those guys don't work. Mm-hmm. They don't work. And you see them every day. Not dying for hunger, they're just living every day. And some of us go there. Again, we settle for all that they threaten us. They say, you better work and pay this mortgage. They say, you do this, and if you don't do this, the HOA will put your house in foreclosure. Or you better clean your this, straighten your that. It's a prison. Mm-hmm. And they are still loving it. Mm-hmm. So look at this. How about being a prison in your whole land? I mean, a prisoner in the whole land. The Most High will get you back. He said, I will do what? Redeem you. No man can. I will. So stay in your own thing. And the Most High will redeem us. America cannot redeem us. It will hold us longer in bondage. But what will it take for our loved ones to understand the thing?
So it's stay in your own country and be satisfied with your lot. Be satisfied with what you can get. Because anything apart from that, if you are striving in your country and you have to go into that land to seek, you are going to go into the land of greed and you are going to be gobbled up and pulled into greed.
That's it.
And nothing with greed is of the Most High.
And we see a next example. We have people around here, very poor, like very, very, very poor. Get a scholarship, go to America or England, and become successful. And we see a total transformation. Total transformation. You see, when we see that, you say, yes, they got him. The system really got you at that point. Don't think the whole I'm rich and I'm untouchable. It's a trick. Mm-hmm. You still will have to be a slave to the system. Yeah. It is about time we start being slaves and be sons and daughters of the Most High. Remain being poor and afflicted. Just seek some food and clothes, a place to lay your head, and obey the Most High in all things, and He will redeem us.
Because the most important thing is our salvation. It's not what we acquire in this earth. All right, this was for Ephraim. Read from verse 11 into 12, and you're going to see what we're talking about.
Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria. When they shall go, I shall spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation had heard.
Hear this now.
Woe unto them, for they have fled from me. If we are called to be poor and afflicted, don't run. Don't run. We also have to remember our friend there that was to go to Nineveh and he flee. I forgot his name. Jonah. Don't run. Just sit down, do what the Most High command us to do. Woe unto them, woe, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me.
Read 14 with it.
And they have not cried unto me with their heart.
You see that?
I'll know.
Sometimes the Most High puts us down where we are for us to cry to him. So when we run and say we're going to,
we don't want to cry to him.
When we go to America, we are flee from him.
Don't want to cry to him.
They have fled from me because we don't want to cry. And he puts us there so that we can have a relationship with him. Cry to him and he will provide for us.
Man, there are some people who would die first before you cry to the Most High. They would die first, full of pride, because they must make it on their own. And they have not cried unto me with their heart. When they howl upon their beds, they assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me.
For corn and wine. Verse 15.
Though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me.
I have bound and strengthened at the same time. So it's contradictory, isn't it?
You tie them up. And
I have bound means
preventing them from getting all those things. So they must rely on him, depend on him, cry out unto him.
So when they were bound, he still strengthened them, so they still got what they wanted.
Yep.
Verse 16.
They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
You see? So in America, see, this is for our people who are in that land of Egypt there that they call America. And we're not done yet. Isaiah 19:23 to 25. Showing that Assyrians and what time is it? How much gone? Oh. No, what is it? Isaiah 19? Yeah. Read, please.
In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria, and the Egyptian shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt, and with Assyria, even the blessing in the midst of the land, whom Yahuwah of hosts shall bless, saying, blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hand, and Israel, my inheritance.
All right, this is actually speaking about his people who are in Egypt and Assyria, because when we cross-reference that with Isaiah 11:15 to 16. Isaiah 11:15 to 16. Go ahead, please.
And Yahuwah shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seventh stream, and make men go over dry shod.
16.
And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
All right, and another precedence again, Isaiah 27:13. Just want to show Israel, Assyria and Egypt together. So when you say America is both of them, we know that there's nothing strange. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcast in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
All right, so that's what it means that Israel, he shall say Assyria is his people and Egypt is his people. These were our people who were in the land of Egypt and in the land of Assyria. Both of them hand in hand there. Another one is Hosea or Hosea 9 verse 3. Let me see what it says. Let's see what it says. Hosea 9 verse 3. Read, please.
They shall not dwell in Yahweh's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria.
So Ephraim, the northern kingdom, shall be in Egypt and eat unclean things in Assyria. So our people, the northern kingdom and the southern and the house of Judah, this is telling us what we've done here this morning. It's telling us that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom are there in the United States of America. Both of them are there together. All right? So, wow, let me see if we can finish this. All right, what the Bible tells us in Hosea 5, 3-15, that America or Assyria cannot save us. And now we know, of course, but we have to hear what the scripture says about that. It was Hosea 5, 3-15. Read, please.
I know Ephraim and Israel is not hid from me. For now, O Ephraim, thou committest whoredom, and Israel is defiled. They will not frame their doing to turn unto their allure, for the spirit of whoredoms is in the midst of them, and they have not known Yahuwah. And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face. Therefore shall Israel and Ephraim fall in their iniquity. Judah also shall fall with them.
All right. So in the land of the Assyrians, in the United States, Israel, which is Ephraim, shall fall in their iniquity, and the house of Judah, the whole 12 tribes, will be falling over there in the United States. Verse 6.
They shall go with their flocks and with their herds to seek Yahuwah, but they shall not find him. He hath withdrawn himself from them.
Because they are not turning to his commandments, his statutes. All right? They will not frame their doings to turn unto their allure. All right, continue.
They have dealt treacherously against Yahuwah, for they have begotten strange children. Now shall a month devour them with their portions.
All right, so hear this now, very important now. There is a rumored famine that they say is coming up upon this earth. And tough times are ahead. I think only a fool would believe that better times are ahead. Tough times are ahead. We hear these people telling us that this disease is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And every minute you hear a different variant. And you hear all different things, people struggling, the economy is struggling. It's only a fool would believe that things will be better. It says it's going to come at a point where a month shall devour them with their portions. Meaning, within a month, everything that they have will be gone. Yeah?
1 month.
Verse 8.
Hold on there. So even if we save up 1 year amount of stuff or planning and, having stuff ready, it says within, shall a month devour them with their portion.
Mm-hmm. And remember, the word also says in 2nd Ezra, it tells us that those who have, the neighbors are going to come and they're not going to spare them. They're going to take what they have. So even if they don't eat it up, something is going to come and devour it. Verse 8.
Blow ye the cornet in Gibeah and the trumpet in Ramah. Cry aloud at Beth-haven after thee, O Benjamin. Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of the rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel have I made known that which shall surely be.
All right. So we are in Assyria. We're in Babylon. We are in Egypt, and it's not going to help us. Yeah, we will not be able to help us. Verse 10.
The princes of Judah were like them.
The princes of Yahudah were like them that remove the bound. Therefore, I will pour out my wrath upon them like water. Continue.
Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he willingly walked after the commandment.
All right, this commandment, not talking about his command, Most High's commandment. He's speaking about the commandment to go against the Most High. 12.
Therefore will I be unto Ephraim as a moth, and to the house of Judah as rottenness.
Mm-hmm.
When Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah saw his wound, then went Ephraim to the Assyrian and sent to King Jareb, yet could he not heal you nor cure you of your wound.
All right. So when we, in our afflictions here in Jamrock, in Jamaica, and we decide that we're going over to the United States, it says, it will not heal you. Yeah, you might have better finances, yes, but the most important healing, which is spiritual healing, you won't get it. Verse 14.
For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I, even I, will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall
rescue him. So, the Most High is actually saying that he is the one. Yeah, and of course, this is for Ephraim and Judah. So it's the whole house of Israel, as long as you're an Israelite. And some of our people, even in these last days, have gone into the United States to see what they can get as they make their preparations here in Jamrock. Many of our people are still there, wanting to work as much as possible before they leave. And what did the Most High say? He will be unto you as a lion, and unto Judah as a young lion. He will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue. Verse 15.
I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and see my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early.
So this is why the Most High afflicts us. It's not because he's wicked or because he's sadistic. It's because he knows that in your affliction, you will seek him early. So that is why I know us here in Jamrock, we are here struggling. We are here afflicted. We're going to be seeking him. Yeah? Some people, when they go to the United States, they depend on God, of course, when they just go. When things start getting better. Oh, boy.
And some church folks say that they believe in God, they're Christian. And before they leave, they appear to be very holy. And when they touch down in that country, they're a total different person. They don't seek anymore.
Yeah.
As what they normally say. Now they go and they just depend on that system in every way they can get. They forget that they were praying, oh, help me to be in this country so I can even minister. Minister what?
And then when they turn to the Most High, they turn to something else, gospel, the prosperity gospel. You see them struggling. I see it a lot on Facebook. When people go to the United States and they are struggling, you don't see them on Facebook. All of a sudden, you see a picture put up with somebody looking like the person you knew. Things start happening to them. You ever see it now? Yeah? Things start happening for them now and they start show the prosperity. And you see that person looking and say, people say, and they put up the picture, 100 and 200 people, likes, looking good. Huh? God has been good to me. Looking good, look at that person has been transformed and is now vain person of Babylon. All right? So here, crowds outside U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica. Huh? No, these are just pictures. This one at the top left there is the line on the side of where the embassy is. You see this line at the bottom? Yeah, it's with people who stay across the road. Because I have been there. You have to stay at the bottom right. Over here. Huh? You mean by the car park? No. Across the road, there's a stoplight right there. And right across the road. So you wait across the road here until, I don't remember when. I think the number? Yeah. And then you call you and you come across the road and come into this line. You see that you have to go through?
I think I see somebody with a chair also.
That's what?
With a chair, like they're just willing to wait forever.
Yeah, man. That's how much we are willing to go into the land of Babylon, into Assyria. All right? But there's judgment for Judah's enemy, including Assyria. Looking at the last part of it now, the judgment, because remember we said we have to look at the destruction of America to see if it is in here. And we go to Zephaniah 2, verse 1 to 15. But Zephaniah 2, verse 1 to 15 is very significant because it speaks about the end times. And it tells us what we should do in the end times. And the very first thing it tells us to do when it's time for judgment in the end time, verse 1.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
You see? In the end time, we are instructed to gather ourselves together. Right? And of course, this is the command that we obey. Gather yourselves together. Verse 2.
Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chaff, before the fierce anger of Yahuwah come upon you.
So, yeah. So in other words, you're not going to wait until the Most High's wrath comes before you gather together. Gather yourselves together before. And then when you gather, what do you do in verse 3?
Seek ye Yahuwah, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahuwah's anger.
So this is the insurance for the day of Yahuwah's anger. Seek him, gather yourselves together, seek him with all your heart, in humility, in righteousness. And it may be, just maybe, you will escape his anger. Verse 4.
For Gaza shall be forsaken.
All right, so now it's going to tell us all of the enemies who will be forsaken. Of course, it's very important to note. Oh, I forgot one thing that I have to do. Remind me. One thing that I have to look at. I have to look at the fact that the Assyrians were
Okay, come on.
All right.
Am I still there? Little technical difficulties here, so we are just getting back on.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
Recording in progress.
Shalom, shalom. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
hearing me?
yes, yes.
All right. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. But there was an internet outage. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, where were we? We were saying no, that this is speaking about the enemies of Judah and what's going to happen to them. Read from verse 4, please.
For Gaza shall be forgotten or
Forsaken.
forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod up, can't see it.
They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of the Kerethites. The word of Yahuwah is against you, O Canaan, the land of the Philistines. I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant. So we have here all of the enemies. All of the enemies will be destroyed in the end. And the seacoast shall be dwellings and cottages for shepherds and foes for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Yahudah. They shall feed thereupon. In the houses of Ashkelon shall they lie down in the evening. For Yahuwah their Elohim shall visit them and turn away their captivity. I have heard the reproach of Moab and the revilings of the children of Ammon, whereby they and magnify themselves against their border. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Elohim of Yasharal, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah, even the breeding of nettles and salt pits and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, and the remnant of my people shall possess them. All right, let's go down to 13. And he will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria, and will make Nineveh a desolation and dry like a wilderness. Now, this is speaking about the end times, when he will make Nineveh a desolation. And it's very important we know of what Nineveh looks like today. This is Nineveh today. Already a desolation. The true Nineveh that is in the city called Mosul, in the nation called, the country called Iraq. That's what it looks like. This is the wall of Nineveh. And this, I think, is the foundation for the house of Sennacherib. So, this is what it looks like. So, it says it will be a perpetual desolation. So that means that there's another Nineveh that will be made a perpetual desolation today. And we looked at that. Nineveh, Los Angeles, United States being Assyria. Okay? Now, Assyria will be punished after Israel's remnant perfected. We're down to the end now. No, don't want to go to the punishment. I want to go back to Assyria first, to that which I said we would look at. Where is it? No, I want one of these. I'm trying to find the right slide to put in the, I think this one will do. All right, let me see. Assyria. Where is it? No, not this one. Here it is. All right, let me see if we can get this. Okay, this is from Wikipedia, as you can see. Let me see if I can get it. Let me get it bigger. Let me get it bigger. Just bear with me, please, as I get this amplified. Get this a little bigger. All right, I don't know if this is any better. All right, the last two paragraphs is what's going to help us, because this is very important. Let's go. After the Assyrian Empire fell at the end of the 7th century BC, Assyria survived as a geopolitical region until the mid-7th century AD. During that time, the region of Assyria was ruled by foreign powers such as the Achaemenid Empire, Seleucid Empire, and Parthian, Sasanian empires. What we're going to see is that the Assyrians, they merged with several different nations. And so when we're looking at end time descriptions of the Assyrians, we just might be seeing the literal descendants of the Assyrians today, because there has been so much mixing. Between the mid-2nd century BC and late 3rd century AD, an Assyrian revival occurred, during which a number of independent Assyrian states such as Adiabin, Azrain, Beth Nahadra, Beth Garmai, Hatra, and perhaps Assur itself arose. The final part of the period saw Mesopotamia become a major center of Syria Christianity, or this is talking about religion, all right? Now, here's a very important part of it. Greeks, Romans, and subsequent Arabs and Ottomans also took control of the Assyrian land. So we have 4 different beasts in the book of Daniel. And one of the beasts was the Greek were the Greeks, and one was the Roman. So already we have the Assyrians here mixing with the Greeks and the Romans. The other 2 were the Medes and Babylon. So we're going to find the Medes and Babylons in all of this mixing. The region of Assyria fell under the successive control of the Median Empire. So that's 3 out of 4. So they're mixing with the Medes, with the Greeks, and with the Romans. That's 3 out of 4. The Medes are the bear, the Greeks, the leopard, and the Romans, the 4th and diverse kingdom. So we're looking for the lion now, which is Babylon. All right. The Achaemenid Empire of 550 to that, the Macedonian Empire, and the Macedonians were the Greeks as well. The Seleucid Empire, the Parthian Empire, the Roman Empire from that to that. And the Sasanian Empire, the Arab Islamic conquest. You see how much people they mix with? Finally dissolved Assyria. A region which by then also included the former Babylonia. You see that? Babylon is right there. So all 4, this is a lion, all 4 of the kingdoms, end time kingdoms, are in Assyria. That is why it is so important, because we know that the 4th beast, the final beast, will manifest all of the kingdoms together. So this is what I missed out to show how important Assyria is in the mix of things. All right? After which the remnants of the Assyrian people, by now mostly almost Christians, gradually became an ethnic, that is the remnant of them, right? An ethnic, linguistic, cultural, and religious minority in the aged Assyrian homeland, surviving there to this day as an indigenous people of the region. So they were mixed out, and those who survived and remained there are now a small indigenous people. Just needed to put that in. So now that we put that in, we can come near to the end when we show that the judgment for the punishment, the time of the punishment for Assyria, it will be after Israel's remnant is perfected. Isaiah 10, 12 to 27. And we're going to show that this is for both the destruction of these people. So the United States has a lot more time to go, in that there will be times of trouble, but the utter destruction of it is going to take, it's a long way off, it seems, from what these scriptures are telling us, if we are to judge rightly from these scriptures. 10, 12 to 27. Yeah? Oh, wow. Yeah? Yeah. Read verse, start from verse 12.
Wherefore it shall come to pass that when Yahuwah had performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria and the splendor of his high looks.
You see, Assyria is being used and Babylon are being used. They are being used to perfect Yahuwah's people. So when their use is done, when he had performed his whole work, that means he has carved out his remnant and their use is finished, then he's going to punish them. That's what he always does. Likewise with Babylon. Babylon is going to be punished at the end of the mark of the beast. When after people have been punished for the mark of the beast, that is when Babylon is going to be punished. And we're going to see that too. So it is after his people are perfected. Verse 13.
For he said, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man.
So the Assyrian will be proud, boastful, thinking that they have done it, not knowing that it is the Most High who has allowed it. Verse 14.
And my hand had found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gathereth eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth, and there was none that moved the wings, or opened the mouth, or peeped.
So we're talking here about the New World Order, right? This sounds like the New World Order. I have removed the bounds of the people. The bounds there. It's a boundary. Let's see if it's boundary. Where is it now? I have removed the bounds. Boundary. You see that? That's the New World Order. All right. It's the first time I'm realizing this. So, the New World Order. I have robbed their treasures. So when you have the New World Order, what did they say with the New World Order? You're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy. You're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy. What does that mean? They're going to rob their treasures. They're going to take away your land. They say you're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy. This is talking about the New World Order. And my hand hath found as the nest the riches of the people. And as one gathered eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth. And there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peep. This is where the Bible, it says in Revelation, who is there like the beast? Who can make war with the beast? This is it. Verse 15.
Shall the axe boast itself against him that who it therewith? Or shall his saw magnify itself against him that shaketh it? As if the rod should shake itself against them that lifted it up, or as if the staff should lift up itself, as if it were no wood.
So the Most High is saying, you think as you doing this, I'm the one who is doing this. Yes? So, you are just the axe. I am the one who is hewing it. Verse 16.
Therefore shall Yahuwah of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his splendor he shall kindle a burning like burning of a fire.
Yeah, and the same people of Israel now is gonna turn and with the Assyrians. Verse 17.
And the light of Israel shall be for a fire, and his splendor one for a
This
flame.
holy one is
Is
set
ho-
apart one.
Is set apart one for a flame, and it shall burn and devour his thrones and his briars in one day.
All right, this one, set apart one, is speaking about the Messiah. I'm so realize that so far. Let's talk about the Messiah. When the Messiah comes, he and the children of Yasharal, set apart children of Yasharal, are going to destroy. Verse 18.
And shall consume the splendor of his forest and of his fruitful field, both soul and body. And they shall be as when a...
Oh, sorry. Because this is my one you're using. Sorry. Yeah.
And they shall be as when a standard bearer fainted.
Mhm.
And the rest of the trees of his forest shall be few, that a child may write them.
All right. Destruction for the Assyrian. Verse 20.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
All right. So, in that day, when these people are spanked, that's it for them. So Most High now is going to be leading his people. Shall no more be led by these people. Verse 21.
The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty Allure. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness.
A remnant shall return. The consumption decreed, the coronavirus consumption shall overflow with righteousness. Verse 23.
For Yahuwah Allah Sabaoth shall make a consumption, even determined in the midst of all the land.
Verse 24.
Therefore, thus say Yahuwah Sabaoth, of my people that dwelleth in Zion.
Oh, my people.
O my people that dwelleth in Zion, be not afraid of the Assyrian. He shall smite thee with a rod, and shall lift up his staff against thee, after the manner of Egypt.
All right. So in the end time, the Assyrian will smite his people. But he says, do not be afraid of them. And we know that this is coming in the end time with the New World Order. Eventually, it's going to come a point when these people get serious about people taking their mark. It's going to get a point where they shall smite us with a rod. Verse 25.
For yet a very little while, and the indignation shall cease, and mine anger in their destruction.
In the destruction of who? The Assyrian. All right? We just want to say that America, you have so many promises of whippings. I don't know how you're going to escape these whippings. Verse 26.
And Yahuwah Sabaoth shall stir up a scourge for him, according to the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. And as his rod was upon the sea, so shall he lift it up after the manner of Egypt. And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing.
So finally, you get rid of them, totally rid of them. All right? Now, last one is Babylon. Babylon punished after the 7 vials are poured on the earth. So Babylon's punishment is, you're not going to have Babylon falling right now. There are so many things that I have to go through before Babylon is destroyed. If we go to Revelation 16, we see all of the things that are due to happen. Although these things are expected to happen over a very short period of time. Because it says if it doesn't speed up, if it doesn't speed up the time, not even the elect shall be saved. So everything's gonna happen quite rapidly in the end times. But read it from verse 1.
And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Allah upon the earth.
So let's just talk about one of the plagues. Read from verse 2 to verse 2.
And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image.
So that has to go through all of them. Second angel, the sea became blood. The third one, rivers and fountains of waters became blood. And then, which was the fourth? The fourth one was the sun scorching men with fire. And the fifth one was the kingdom became full of darkness. Yes, this is the 3 days of darkness that they're talking about. And the sixth one is Euphrates drying up. And the seventh one was voices, thunders, and lightnings, a great earthquake. And let's go at verse 18 to 19 now.
And there were voices and thunders and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before Allah, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath.
All right, so we see that? It's in the end that Babylon is going to survive everything through all of that, all the punishment going through. But we know that it is at the time of the mark of the beast. And we know we are in the mark of the beast because the first of these 7 vials was a noisome and grievous sore falling upon those who had the mark of the beast. So although it's not far away, we just want to know that it's not going to be immediate. Even though the word says Babylon is fallen, they have already fallen in the spirit realm, but only to be manifested in the physical. Okay? So, yeah, that's what we had for today. The end time destruction of America. Well, we see it, America being Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt all in one. They have serious repercussions coming for them. They are the leaders of this world, spreading their witchcraft through their Hollywood. They are the headquarters of Babylon, the headquarters of the United Nations. They are, like Assyria, the chief military power for the world. They are the world police that go around and boss people around and ensure that whatever the wicked, the beast wants done, it gets done. They are the chief determinants of international trade. New York Stock Exchange, one of the greatest markets. When that falls, then the whole world shakes and trembles. This is the United States of America, a wicked country that has been set up to do Satan's wickedness upon this earth, founded upon Freemasonry, founded upon evil, founded upon wickedness. All right? So, yeah, I hope we all learned something from here today. Just want to hear Brother Mahar's contribution before we leave.
All right, we heard it. It is all laid out there. And my takeaway is, let's not try to run away from being afflicted. Let's not seek refuge where there is no refuge. Because we see many of us, we try to do things on our own. But whatever the Most I do and allow, it is His will. So we will be in problem if we try to go out of the order to have things done our way. We have to be in order, family. We have to be in order. The Most High set up his order. And if we try to jump over any of his order, in order for us to go back in line, we have to come back in line to be in order with the Most High. So that's all I have for today. Seek the Most High, do his will. Let us just continue to deny ourselves daily, because yes, indeed, we are definitely at the end of this age. And these things are upon us, family, so we don't have time to waste.
All right. And that's why it's important to know who we are, because knowing who we are, children of Yasharal, we know that we are here in captivity, and wherever we were sent there to go through what we were going through. He didn't send us over here, us, for example, over here in Jamaica for naught. He sent us here because this is where he wanted us to go through our thing. So when we try to escape, seeking greener pastures, we are trying to run away from him like Jonah. All right? Okay. So there was a question here before we leave. Is Ezekiel 23:14 referring to JC, JESUS, And it goes, let me see let me get this on the screen. And that she increased her whoredoms, for when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion. This is speaking of JC. Well, it is similar to JC. But this is speaking about men, which is more than one. Okay. Oh, but they translated it as men. It could mean man, because it is from the Hebrew ish, which also means a man as an individual or a male person. So yes, it's the same thing that they did with JC, portraying upon the wall. And vermilion there refers to the color red. And we know most of the time, if you look for JC, we see him portrayed in the color red. It's a very interesting observation as well. But it also, let me look for, yeah, it is very important. They always have this red shawl over JC in the older pictures. Yeah. So, all right, let us look on the screen. Let's look at JC here and see what they got on him. Where is it? Yeah, JC. There's always this red. There we have it. Red here. See? Red, red. Always in red. Is it so? This could really be him it's talking about. There's red. Especially the older ones are usually in red. Red. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, red. Red. So the red is, the vermilion is a constant, it seems. So this is very important. This is a very nice observation. This is from one of our viewers. Very great observation, all right? So I want to thank you all for watching on, where am I? Isn't this pinned? No, it wasn't pinned. Sorry about that. Someone couldn't tell me that it wasn't pinned. Yeah. All right, so just want to say thanks for watching to our viewers on YouTube. We will continue on Just a Word Radio at justawordradio.com after this. after we leave YouTube, just saying that we are making improvements and enhancements to Just the Word Radio, adding new programming as and changing up our lineup. All right. We will be adding new programs, and also we'll be adding a guest teaching program where we will be playing teachings from other people who we believe are saying the same thing that we are saying, or similar things to what we believe in as we seek for the truth. All right. So that was it. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please, the comments are very important for the algorithm, as we know that the more we comment, the higher it goes in the order, and the more people are likely to see it. I want to thank you all, especially for those who are in the chat, making the comments. I enjoy going back in the chat afterwards and reading what has been said. All right. So on behalf of the family here at Just a Word, I want to say shalom, and we say we continue on justawordradio.com. All right. Shalom, everyone. Shalom, shalom, shalom.